Hello YouTube, Robin Hood Bricks here, and today I'm going to start building my first railway bridge across the opening of Brick Bay. Now, as many of you will know, I need to build two bridges, one for each of my railway lines that go across from one headland to the other on the mouth of Brick Bay. And I was looking on the internet for inspiration because I want them to be different. And I was looking at sort of cast iron, old style bridges, probably sort of from a Victorian era or, good 100 years old, like a lot of bridges are in the UK. And I saw this one, which is an incredibly old catalogue picture from 1969, when Lego was really in its infancy. And I just loved the simplicity, yet really good shape of this old rail bridge. And it's very simply built in a way, and something that I should be able to replicate, but also take up to the next level. So all of you will be familiar with modern rail, being these large pieces that slot together. But before that was normal, there were three sorts of rails: straight rails, outer curve rails, and inside curve rails. And they were done individually, as you can see, and you had to get a load of 2x8 plates to act as the sleepers to join all these together. So it took absolutely ages to put together a railway setup. So obviously this is a great improvement because it's all integrated. But you did get some versatility with those, including projects like building this bridge. So straight, that pretty much goes without any further explanation, 16 long. But why the two curves? Well, because the radius of the inside of a bend is smaller than the radius of the outside of the bend, you need to have two different lengths. And they're very subtly different. The one on the outside, the longer one, has got these sort of ridges on, which is also very good for giving a train grip. The straights, by the way, also have that sort of grip surface. But the inside corners just have, similar to today, but a bit different because they've got a groove down the middle. So it's just slightly different, but easily distinguishable for when you're building your railway. So that bridge that we just looked at, that I'm going to use as inspiration for my first rail bridge, uses all three of these in different combinations. And I've accumulated a mixed bag of these from eBay, an auction, and I'm going to try and piece together a framework for what I'm going to try and achieve today. Right, so this is a mock-up using the rails of the original bridge from 1969. So we've got two big curves in the middle and a pair of small curves on each side. Then we've got two more big curves on the top. Then three straights, making the bottom rung of the sort of superstructure. And then the substructure is one straight in the middle and two of the large curves underneath. So obviously we're looking at it side on, and the other side would be identical. Now, the first issue with this for me, although I'm very much liking that, is the fact that my bridge needs to be 4 rail pieces long. And as you can see, this is based on 3 rails, so it's only going to be 48 long. So I need to extend this whole concept by 1 whole rail. And if I don't, I think it'll look really weird because it'll kind of be like the bridge starts and then part of the way along the structure starts. So I really think I need to expand it. So I think if I sort of move the ends out and bring in, keep that as well, and then bring in another pair of big bends, and then a straight there and a straight on the top. Then we're getting there. Probably bunched this up. I've spaced it out a little too much. There we go. And then for the bottom, I think we can do, well, we could either do that and have another straight, but I think that's a bit boring. And I think I'm going to need a central, what's it called, support. So I figured I'll put in 2 more of these and have a central support. So how about that? So again, we're looking at the side profile. We'll have one bank here, the other bank there, one central sort of stanchion, which I'll just represent with that. And that's it in side profile. So I think it's faithful to the original whilst also taking it up in length. And the next job will then be to take it up in detail. Right, so first of all, I think I'm going to have to focus on the superstructure, i.e. the bit at the top, and get all that geometry worked out and see what I can piece together on that. Right, so I've made a 66 long, 2 wide strip of plates. And onto that I've put, with one gap at the end, on the bottom my 4 straight rails, and then on the top loads of 1x8 plates, so there must be 8 of those I suppose, to make this not quite strong but not flimsy strip. So that can be the bottom, which will be sort of the bottom siding. And then I can start attaching these rails to that raised edge. And you need those 1x8 plates because you see, with these coming at an angle, if that plate wasn't there, this rail wouldn't be able to connect onto a stud here at an angle because the corner of it would overlap with the same space as the existing rail. So it has to be slightly raised up because essentially this and the straight rail overlap. But it also adds some strength, so no problem there. So if I put all these on here, so then we've got a little structure at the top, which is the 3 rails all joined with plates. And then again, just to raise up the, what will be the top end of all the other curves above this top layer, I've put in some 1x1 round studs just because I had them. I suppose you could use square ones or anything, or even some plates. And then I can start to connect these because these will also overlap as well. And I'm presuming this is how the original was done as well. Let's see. Ooh. Sort of falling apart as I do it. There we go. Do this one as well. Okay. Looking good. Now this is strong enough to lift, but it doesn't feel strong in my hands. But when this is finished, we'll have supports linking this side with the far side at the top, at each of these 4 junction points. And the bottom will be very firmly held on to the rest of the bridge structure. So, yeah, at least the geometry works well. I think it's a really nice shape. The fact that it's blue worries me a little bit, just because it's going to be against the blue of the water on the base plates, but I think we'll be looking at it quite horizontally as opposed to from above. So we'll definitely have to make some of the stanchions that hold it up from the water a different colour. This bridge has to be really strong for a number of reasons. One, it's connected at 2 different tables on its different ends and is only going to be supported in the middle. Secondly, it's going to have trains charging across it at full speed. And thirdly, it's on a table that I have to crawl under to get into the Lego room proper. And as a result, every time I bang my head or my back on it, because it's quite low, I cause a minor local earthquake. So it needs to actually be earthquake proof as well. So with that in mind, I'm going to build the superstructure and the substructure right onto the track. So they aren't separate at all. The track is actually integrated as part of the bridge. So when I'm done, I should be able to lift this whole piece of track, which is made of 4 standard straights, and lift the whole bridge into position. That's the theory anyway. So what I've done so far is I've just added 1x4 dark bluish grey tiles just to cover the studs on these pieces. I didn't want to use the normal 2x4 reddish brown tiles that I usually use for ballast, just to give it some contrast for when train cam is in action and we're going over the bridge. You'll know that because the slats will have changed. I've also added a lot of these bracket pieces, which are very old pieces as well. They're pretty much from Space Lego as I remember it, when everything was blue. And they are basically just so we can attach the 2 sides on like that at very many different positions, so it's nice and strong. And obviously the other one mirrored on the other side. And then where I haven't got a bracket, I've just put a 2x2 light bluish grey tile. Now, as you'll know from when I mocked up my bridges doing my railway, and from when I started doing my cliffs, I've also got these long 64 long Technic bricks setups, sort of a row of, they're all basically 1x8 bricks with black pins on, holding them very firmly together into a long line. So it's basically a 64x2 brick. And I've got 2 of these, and these are going to support this structure. So basically, I'm just going to put them under here. So with a combination of the 2 Technic beams and all the track pieces themselves, we should end up with a very strong structure. That's the plan anyway, that can support all the weight and the odd earthquake. Okay, that's really strong, not moving at all. So that is a good start. So I think now I need to think about building some legs. Actually, while we're here, I'm just going to add a load of 2x2 curved slopes just to fill in the gaps in between the brackets and the tiles. And that will give it a nice finished look instead of having these bare studs showing. And it also should give it a nice pleasing texture around the outside. Yeah, I think I like that. Almost looks like drains, doesn't it? So I've got an absolute load of those, so I'll fill in the gaps. Right, so I've made some feet. And this is a little structure that's too wide for one end. And then I've made the mirror version of that for the other end. And then a double thickness one for the middle. And what I've done is use some modified bricks with studs on the side, so I can mount some plates to this surface, which will marry up with the plate layer here on the main bit of the bridge. So the Technic bits will all sit here on these inverted slopes, nice and snugly. And then when I add some plates to these, you'll see that they line up perfectly with these. So let's do that. So I'll start with the middle one, shall I? Put those 2 out of the way. Make sure I actually do get it in the middle. Be a good start, wouldn't it? Right, so you can see that that is firmly attached both on the side up here, but also firmly underneath as well. and these are structural, but you know, they're more for decoration really. So there's that one. And then if I put on a 4x10 plate as a sort of fascia, then you'll see that that plate now is perfectly aligned with, at least it will be when it's pushed on properly, with the plates that form part of these brackets. So I can make a grey plate layer that combined will attach to the side. So let's get on with doing the rest. Oh, done the wrong one. Wrong way around. There we go. Get this one the right way around. So for these two, I've got a 2x10 plate, which I can add, and you see that fits perfectly between the two brackets at the end. Like that. And then I can't connect them now because there's nothing to connect them to, but I will have things like this 2x6 in this gap and so on, because they'll all be held together by this blue one when that's stuck on the front. So hopefully this will be very strong when it's finished. So I wanted the stanchions to be in grey, so they showed up against the blue of the C in the base plates. But I do think that if I'm going to have a blue plate sort of horizontally across this layer, I probably do need a blue layer on top. So I'm going to put some sort of blue cladding, if you will, on here. And the reason for this particular combination of plates and tiles will become apparent soon. So there's that end. The same on this end. And in the middle. And then I've got a jumper plate just with a 1x1 round tile. That's just for some decoration. And I've deliberately left these two free because I need a round stud, but it's important that it's got the hole in the middle. Now they do exist in blue, but I think I'm right in saying they were only used as one of the Unikitty collectible series. So they're pretty rare and really hard to get. So I haven't got any yet. So if I do get some in the future, I may swap these for blue ones, but quite frankly, in light grey, it's not the end of the world. So as I say, this blue layer will get completed when this goes on. So there's a bit of a glimpse into the future, what that's going to look like. So next I need to attach the substructure rails, but in order to do that, I need to have a complete side. So I'm just going to temporarily destroy our superstructure to steal this long plate set up, so I can add this all the way along. There we go. Now this is really feeling strong, so that's good to know, and it's about to get more strong when I fill in, because we've got all the gaps in this layer of light bluish grey. So I'm just going to add in some plates there. I'm just going to stand it up because it's easier to do that way. Ooh. Have to pull it out, get one of those in. Just need a bit coming down there for the substructure. Couple of 1x2s, 2x6, 1x2, pull it open to get that in, 2x3, and a final 2x6. All right. So that is now a complete grey layer of plates as well. One not pushed in, there we are. So now it's even more strong. We've only got one side on, the other side's obviously going to be the same but in mirror. So then the underneath, we've got one rail like that. And that's why we needed the tile here, because if it was studs, it's connected to that stud there, the fourth one up on the right, but it wouldn't be aligned with any stud on the left column as well. And it just happens to be the spacing. So I have to put a tile there so it'll fit. Then we use the shorter rail on the other side of that one and onto the stud with the hole on it. There we go. That's a really nice curve, isn't it? Now it's important that that stud has a hole in it because these have actually got little studs on the back and it actually aligns with one of those. If you had a solid stud one, it wouldn't go in because that little thing there, or rather this one on this end, in this case, is actually going onto the stud hole. So we can do the same thing here. And there we go. So there is the base of our bridge. It's looking pretty good, isn't it? I like it. So what I could do is attach the superstructure to it, but I think it would fall down. So I don't know whether I want to do that now or do the other side first. Hey, it's a bit wobbly, but it looks good, doesn't it? I mean, the bottom's really strong indeed, but the top's a little wobbly just because it's only connected at these bottom points by one stud. But when the two sides are supporting each other with some cross beams, then I think we'll be all right. But yeah, I really like the shape. Well, it does remind you of a lot of famous bridges, including, I'm thinking of the Forth Bridge in Scotland. But there are many like it, I'm sure. So I really like that. Yeah, it's worked out really well. So obviously I need to do the other side next. Exactly the same. Always faster to do the second side. Now if this all falls down, I won't be surprised while I'm doing this. The far superstructure, just because, as I said before, it's only held on by a few studs currently. So it needs bracing, so that works, that's good. Put on these bottom pieces. In fact, I don't know if I even need those really rare blue plates with a hole because you can barely see them at all. Okay, and there's that one, and there's that one, right. So there's the bottom complete on both sides. And I've added some lights to the ends of both sides. Just because I figure a bridge would probably have lights on its ends, I don't really know. And then lastly, the superstructure. I'll say lastly, I've got to do the braces, haven't I, yet? Pretty delicate work at this stage. Waiting for it all to come crashing down. Ooh, nearly lost it. Ah, it's coming undone as fast as it's going up. There we are. There, once you get about 5 or 6 on, it starts getting a lot stronger. There we go. And then the last one. Okay. There we go. Not entirely in shot, but you get the idea. So the problem now is that we've got 2 very delicate sides of the superstructure that aren't attached to each other and are at danger of falling down. So I'm going to have to make some braces to hold them together, and I think I'll have 4, 1 at each of the sort of main junctions. But it's looking really cool. So I appreciate that last scene didn't have everything I was doing in shot, but nonetheless, it was the same as the other side, so shouldn't be a great surprise to you. But this is the problem we've got. We've got both sides looking wonderful, but they aren't connected. And obviously, they're not going to take any hitting laterally to fall catastrophically. So we need some braces. And what I've done is I've built these, which are essentially 2 by 10 plates in blue with 2 of these 2 by 2, 1 by 2 brackets on the end. I've had to add another couple of these 1 by 1 round plates just to get the spacing exactly right on each end. And then just to decorate it, I've put some more lights on the end by way of 1 by 2 trans yellow tile and 2 1 by 8 tiles as well. And I've got 4 of these. So, watch me destroy my bridge by trying to attach these. I don't know if I should start at the middle or at the ends. So, I think it'll be strong when they're in. But it's quite hard to film because I'm reaching around my camera at the moment. Ooh, there's 2 in. Have a good look at that in case it all falls down in a minute. And I have checked that the train will fit under this. And it will be the passenger train that's going under this. I don't know if that makes it a lower hurdle or a higher hurdle than the cargo train. Actually, I haven't really compared the two, but as long as the passenger train fits under this one, we'll be all right. Ooh, that went well. It didn't collapse. So there we are. See if we can get an end-on shot-ish. Might be able to get more end-on the other way. There we go. How about that? So now, if we give it a stress test, wiggle test, it's passing. I don't think this is going to be the most robust bridge ever. If somebody were to accidentally elbow it, which I no doubt will about twice a week from here on out, it probably will still collapse. And what worries me a little bit is the fact that I have to have all my lighting and tripods and things like that going to different parts of my Lego room. So inevitably I'm going to be knocking this over probably daily, if not weekly. So, well, we'll see. But it passes the minor earthquake test, I think. Great. So that was quite a long session. I definitely haven't got time now to put this in the Lego room, which is very disappointing because I'm quite keen to do that as well. But that's just going to have to wait to another day because I'm going to have to integrate it with the cliffs at one end and put some sort of temporary cliff structure in at the other because I haven't done the cliffs there yet. And then hopefully we can have the passenger train charging over in part 2. So just to recap, we've taken inspiration from a 1969 Lego catalogue featuring a bridge built of old rail pieces in blue, and I used that template, extended it so it was 4 rail pieces long rather than 3, and then basically used some bricks on the side technique, some brackets, a lot of tiles and slope pieces to make it all look a lot more attractive and a lot more modern. But it also, I think, still keeps that sort of old 100-year-old bridge look. I'm very happy with it. I can't wait to see it in place in the Lego room. So as always, thank you very much for watching. Do remember to like, comment, and most importantly, subscribe for more awesome Lego videos. And next time on Robin Hood Bricks, we'll just have to put this in position in the Lego room. See you then!